Matrices and Transformations. On the grid provided, ABCD is a trapezium. ABCD is mapped onto A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime by a positive quarter turn. A. Draw the image of A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime on the grid. B. A transformation -2, -1, 1, -2 maps A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime onto A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime, D prime prime. 1. Obtain the coordinates of A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime, D prime prime on the grid. C. Determine a singular matrix that maps A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime, D prime prime, and A, B, C, D. The figure on the grid shows a triangular-shaped object ABC and its image A prime, B prime, C prime. A1. Describe fully the transformation that maps ABC onto A prime, B prime, C prime. 2. Find a 2 by 2 matrix that transforms triangle ABC onto A prime, B prime, C prime. The matrix P is equals to 2, 1, 1, 1 transforms triangle ABC onto A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime. 1. Find the coordinates of A prime prime, B prime prime, and C prime prime. 2. Draw the image of A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime. C. Find the area of triangle ABC. D. Hence, find the area of the image A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime. A quadrilateral ABCD has vertices A 4, -1, B 2, -4, C 6, -6, D 4, -2. On the grid provided, draw the quadrilateral ABCD. B. A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime is the image of ABCD under a positive quarter turn above the origin. On the same grid, draw the image of A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. C. A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime, D prime prime is the image of A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime under the transformation given by the matrix 1, -2, 0, 1, 1. Determine the coordinates of A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime, D prime prime. 2. On the same grid, draw the quadrilateral A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime, D prime prime. D. Determine a single matrix that maps A, B, C, D onto A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime, D prime prime. The transformation R given by the matrix A, B, C, D maps 17, 0 to 15, 8 and 0, 17 to -8, 15. Determine the matrix A giving A, B, C, and D as fractions. B. Given that A represents a rotation through the origin, determine the angle of rotation. C. S is a rotation through 180 degrees about the point 2, 3. Determine the image of 1, 0 under S followed by R. The diagram on the grid provided below shows a trapezium ABCD. On the same grid, A1. Draw the image of A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime of ABCD under a rotation of 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. 2. Draw the image of A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime, D prime prime of A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime under the reflection in the line y is equals to negative x. State the coordinates of A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime, D prime prime. B. A prime prime prime, B prime prime prime, C prime prime prime, D prime 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 is the image of A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime, D prime prime. Draw the image A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime, D prime prime and state its coordinate. The coordinates of the vertices of a rectangle PQRS are P11, Q161, R64, and S14. A1. Find the coordinates of the vertices of its image P prime, Q prime, R prime, S prime under the transformation defined by the matrix 1, 2, 0, 1. 2. Draw the object and its image on the grid. A triangle T whose vertices are A 2, 3, B 5, 3, C 4, 1 is mapped onto triangle T1 whose vertices are A negative 4, 3, B1 negative 1, 3, C1 xy by a transformation M which is equals to A, B, C, D. A. Find 1. The matrix M of the transformation. 2. Coordinates of C1. B. Triangle T2 is the image of triangle T1 under a reflection in the line y is equals to x. Find a single matrix that maps T onto T2. Triangle ABC is the image of triangle PQR under the transformation M is equals to 2, 4, 0, 2, where PQ and R maps onto ABC and ABC respectively. A. Given that points P 5 negative 1, Q 6 negative 1, and R 4 negative 0.5, draw the triangle ABC on the grid. Triangle ABC and A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime are drawn on the Cartesian plane provided. Triangle ABC is mapped onto A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime by two successive transformations R is equals to A, B, C, D followed by P which is equals to 0, negative 1, negative 1, 0. A. Find R. B. Using the same scale and axis, draw triangle A prime, B prime, C prime, the image of triangle ABC under transformation R. C. Describe fully the transformation represented by the matrix R. Triangle ABC is shown on the coordinate plane below. A. Given that A is equals to negative 6, 5 is mapped onto A prime negative 6, negative 4 by a shear where y-axis as the invariant line. 1. Draw triangle A prime, B prime, C prime, the image of triangle ABC under the shear. 2. Determine the matrix representing the shear. B. Triangle A prime, B prime, C prime is mapped onto A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime by a transformation defined by the matrix negative 1, 0, 1.5, negative 1. Draw triangle A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime. 2. Describe fully a single transformation that maps A, B, C onto A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime. Points A 2 2 and B 4 3 are mapped onto A prime 2 8 and B prime 4 15, respectively, by a transformation T. Find the matrix of T. The area of triangle FGH is 21 centimeters square. The triangle is transformed using the matrix 4 5 1 2. Calculate the area of the image of triangle FGH. Triangle PQR shown on the grid has vertices P 5 5, Q 10 10, and R 10 15. A. Find the coordinates of points P prime, Q prime, R prime, the image of PQR respectively under the transformation M, whose matrix is negative 0 6 0 8 0 8 0 6. B. Given that M is a reflection, 1. Draw triangle P prime, Q prime, R prime, and the mirror line of the reflection. 2. Determine the equation of the mirror line of the reflection. C. Triangle P prime prime, Q prime prime, R prime prime is the image of triangle P prime, Q prime, R prime under reflection N, where N is a reflection in y-axis. 1. Draw triangle P prime prime, Q prime prime, R prime prime. 2. Determine a 2 by 2 matrix equivalent to transformation NM. 3. Describe fully a single transformation that maps triangle PQR onto triangle P prime prime, Q prime prime, R prime prime. The points O, A, and B are coordinates 0 0, 4 0, and 3 2 respectively, and the shear matrix represented by the matrix 1K 0 1. Triangle OAB maps triangle OAB prime A. Determine the terms of K and X coordinates of points B prime. B. If A or B prime is a right angled triangle in which angle OB prime A is acute, find two possible values of K. The vertices of a rectangle are A negative 1, negative 1, B negative 4, negative 1, C negative 4, negative 3, and D negative 1, negative 3. A. On the grid provided, draw the rectangle and its image A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime under a transformation whose matrix is negative 2, 0, 0, negative 2. B. A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime, D prime prime is the image of A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime and a transformation matrix P a half, 1, 1, a half, 1. Determine the coordinates of A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime, D prime prime. 2. On the same grid, draw the quadrilateral A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime, D prime prime. C. Find the area of ABCD. OABC is a parallelogram whose vertices O 0 0, A 2 0, B 3 2, and C 1 2. O prime, A prime, B prime, C prime is the image of OABC under the transformation matrix negative 2, 0, 0, negative 2. A1. Find the coordinates of O prime, A prime, B prime, C prime. 2. On the grid, draw O, A, B, C, and O, A prime, B prime, C prime. B1. Find O prime prime, A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime. The image of O prime, A prime, B prime, C prime under the transformation matrix 1, 0, 0, negative 2. B2. On the same grid, draw O prime prime, A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime. C. Find the single matrix that maps O prime prime, A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime onto O, A, B, C. The vertices of a triangle T are A, 1, 2, B, 4, 2, and C, 3, 4. The vertices of triangle T prime, the image of T are A prime, half, 1, B prime, 2, 1, and C prime, 3 over 2, 2. Determine the transformation matrix. In a transformation, an object with an area of 5 centimeters squared is mapped onto an image whose area is 30 centimeters squared. Given the matrix of the transformation is x minus 1, 2, 4. Find the value of x. A quadrilateral with vertices K11, L41, M23, and N13 is transformed by matrix T1301 to a quadrilateral K prime, L prime, M prime, N prime. A. Determine the coordinates of the image. B. On the grid, draw the object and the image. C1. Describe fully the transformation which maps KLM onto K prime, L prime, M prime, N prime. C2. Determine the area of the image. D. Find a matrix which maps K prime, L prime, M prime, N prime onto KLMN. The area of a triangle is 24 square units. The triangle is mapped onto image P by the matrix 6, 5, 3, 4. Find the area of the image. The vertices of a rectangle ABCD are 0, 2, 0, 4, 4, 4, and 4, 2. The vertices of its image under a transformation T are A prime 0, 2, B prime 0, 4, C prime 8, 4, D prime 8, 2. A1. On the grid, draw the rectangle ABCD and its image A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime under T. 2. Describe fully the transformation T. 3. Determine the matrix of transformation. D. On the same grid as in A, draw the image of rectangle ABCD under a shear with the line x is equals to negative 2 as invariant, and A02 is mapped onto A prime prime 0, 0. The diagram alongside shows triangle ABC with vertices A, negative 1, negative 3, B, 1, negative 1, C, 0, 0, and line M. Draw triangle A prime, B prime, C prime, the image of triangle ABC under the reflection in line M. B. Triangle A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime, is the image of triangle A prime, B prime, C prime under a transformation represented by the matrix T 1 2 0 1. 1. Draw triangle A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime. 2. Describe fully the transformation represented by matrix T. 3. Find the area of triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. Hence, find the area of triangle A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime. Under transformation T, 4, -3, 2, 3, triangle OAB is mapped onto triangle O A prime B prime with vertices O 0 0, A prime 18 0, B prime 18 6. Find the area of triangle OAB. The vertices of a triangle PQR are P -3 2, Q 0 -1, R 2 -1. A transformation matrix M maps triangle PQR onto triangle P prime, Q prime, R prime, whose vertices are P prime -7 2, Q prime 2 -1, and R prime 4 -1. Find the inverse of M, the transformation that maps P prime, Q prime, R prime onto PQR. A trapezium PQRS with vertices P22, Q62, R64, and S28 is mapped onto PQRS by transformation matrix M -1 0 0 1. A. Find the coordinates of P prime, Q prime, R prime, S prime. B. On the grid, draw PQRS and its image P prime, Q prime, R prime, S prime. C. Find P prime prime, Q prime prime, R prime prime, S prime prime, the image of P prime, Q prime, R prime, S prime under the transformation matrix N -1/2, 0, 0, 1/2. C2. On the grid, draw P prime prime, Q prime prime, R prime prime, S prime prime. D. 1. Find a single matrix that maps P prime prime, Q prime prime, R prime prime, S prime prime onto P prime, Q prime, R prime, S prime. D2. Describe fully the transformation that maps P prime prime, Q prime prime, R prime prime, S prime prime onto P prime, Q prime, R prime, S prime. A point P xy is mapped onto P prime x1 y1 by successive transformation M1 -1 2 3 followed by N 1 1 -1 2. Determine the single transformation matrix that would map P prime x1 y prime onto P x y. In transformation, an object of area x centimeter squared is mapped onto an image whose area is 13x centimeter squared. Given that the matrix of transformation is x7, x minus 1, 3x, find the possible values of x. The vertices of the triangle shown on the grid are A prime 3, -3, B prime 1, -1, and C prime 3, -1. Triangle A prime, B prime, C prime is the image of triangle ABC under a transformation whose matrix is 0, 1, 1, -2. A. Find the coordinates of triangle ABC. B. Triangle A prime prime B prime prime C prime prime is the image of A prime B prime C prime under a transformation matrix -2, 0, 0, -1. Determine the coordinates of A prime prime B prime prime C prime prime. C. On the same grid provided, draw triangles ABC and A prime prime B prime prime C prime prime. D. Determine a single matrix that maps ABC onto A prime prime B prime prime C prime prime.